Good morning, Guyana. I trust everybody's having a wonderful day so far. And thank you for joining us on another episode of Fun, Fit, and Healthy on the TBN network. My name is Coel, your resident fitness trainer. And today we'll just be advancing a little bit more on the conversation around calories and intake, which is fundamentally the biggest part of your fitness pursuit or your fitness endeavor. All right, so what I want you to do today is to take out your pens and paper, because we'll be doing some calculations and we'll be doing some, I'll give you some examples of some diets that you can actually parrot and probably incorporate those into your life. As we spoke about last week, it is important that we understand that your caloric intake is the most important aspect of your fitness regimen. It makes very little sense that you work out like crazy in a gym and then go home and you don't eat or consume the right kinds of food that will help promote your overall well-being. All right. So today, what we'll be doing, I'm going to take you guys to a website. We'll have that up in a few. I'll let the guys know when to put that up, where we can first start to create a plan around how we're gonna move forward in creating the best plan to facilitate our weight loss. And again, I always say that your diet is most important, and diet is most integral to the process. All right. So if the guys are ready, I want you guys to pull my screen up. Let's take a look. So the website that we are going to be using to do your calorie counter is calculator.net. Right. It should be up. You guys should be seeing that on my screen. All right. So on this website, it allows you the opportunity to inplug your values, and it will calculate for you your expected caloric intake if you want to be in a calorie deficit. So let's say, good. So let's change the age here. Let's go with my age, male. You put your weight in here. 202, thereabout. All right. 202. Oh, sorry. Height 10 meters, 174. Weight 202. Activity, let's say active exercise intensity every day. All right. And you put that up there. What this does for you, you click calculate. Good. So if you look at my calculator here, because I'm pretty heavy and I'm active, if I want to maintain my weight, I would have to be on a 4,545 calorie intake day just to maintain. If I want to mildly lose, I have to drop that by 300, thereabout. And for weight loss, I have to put myself in a almost 500 calorie deficit calorie intake to create that deficit. Right. So these are factors that are important to know when you're deciding on how to calculate your intake. There's a gentleman that contacted me yesterday, and I think we're about the same age. Let me plug in his information. I think he said he's 5'3", so let's change that. 5 foot. You can also adjust the input metrics and change the imperial or metric system. So he says he's 5'3", and he weighs 245 pounds. Right? He's not as active. He's not as active, and he was a sedentary lifestyle where he's sitting most of the time. 5'3", 245 pounds. And let's calculate that. All right? So when we calculate for his body type, because he's not active, he's not burning and not utilizing most of the calories for his day, to maintain his current weight, he'd have to be on a 2,324 calorie intake. Weight loss, you'd have to do, as you can see, it's average about 500 typically is the calorie deficit that we would typically work with, so you're not putting yourself at a disadvantage and creating other health problems by reducing your calories too intensely. All right? So these are things that we need to be aware of when we're deciding on how to structure our calorie intake. It's all about calories in, calories out when you're talking about weight loss, right? There are some people that want to put on weight, and then there are others that want to lose, but primarily be focusing on your intake. So if you scroll down, this website is very, 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 very effective. It can tell you definitively how to scale your calories. It creates a diet schedule for you, and all these different kind of things. You can see all that information on that website. All right, so calculator.net. Remember that website. I think we tagged it in one of our videos. You're able to see definitively how to calculate your caloric intake. Right? So on the screen now, I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to pull up for you guys a diet chart for this chart that you can see on the screen right now is an example of how you can set your meals. All right? This particular meal plan I did for a 50-plus-year-old man. He was average about 235 thereabout also in weight. And this is a meal plan that I gave to him. As you can see, you have to eat a particular way for a particular time. Last week we spoke about the whole negative connotation that the word diet has. Now, it is important that we have a plan. Now, diets and meal plans can tend to be very, very boring and can tend to create a degree of frustration for a lot of persons that follow it, that try to follow a meal plan. These type of diets that your trainer would do for you, or somebody, or nutritionist would do for you, they're scaled according to your macro needs, right? And some of them can be boring. They can be a bit frustrating to maintain. Realistically, what should be done is you should expect to mess up a few days on your meal plan. Is it expected that you mess up? But don't allow messing up to create additional frustration in your life and cause you to become additionally fatigued about the whole process. It's very, very important that we understand that it took some time for you to put the weight on. It's going to take some time for you to take the weight off, right? And that's very, very important that we understand this particular concept, right? It's very, very important, right? And without having the discipline and focus, you really can't see much results if you attempt. And many of you, I'm sure, at home have attempted many, many times to start a plan and fail at it. But it's you have to start having the right mentality towards this process. It takes time. It takes time. If you are going on a fitness journey just to fit into a dress to go to a wedding, or to fit into a suit to go to a wedding, or go to some event that you come up, some reunion or something that you want to impress the people at the event, then you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because you're going to get hooked up on the fad diets, and you're going to get hooked up on the crash diets that are very, very harmful to your body. Because anything that you do to your body and you don't maintain, it tends to put strain on your body, and when your body actually is shocked that way, it can cause other further health complications on your behalf. Some persons try to strip their body, like they go on this no carb diet and all these different kind of things. Those things are not necessarily advisable for all people, because what happens, the best approach is to have, or what happens when you try fat diets and you drastically reduce certain kinds of intake, you put your body under pressure, right? And your body always wants to be in control of itself. So that shock to your system can cause you to have additional issues with your health. In instances with some heart patients and so on that are their diet restrictions are a bit stringent, and in that case when you're under the supervision of a doctor that's actually monitoring you more effectively, then and only then would I advise, or anybody I think in health and fitness would advise, that you attempt to have crash diets where you're going to be carefully monitored by a health professional, where everything is basically calculated and checked for you. Then and only then. Otherwise, for you at home and persons that are regular citizens that don't necessarily have any kind of drastic health complications that require you to lose weight rapidly, then you should always try to have an approach that is manageable and agreeable. All right. So on the screen now we have that meal plan. If it's been up long enough, I think you guys would have been able to take a look at it and see and kind of create like a idea in your mind how to actually eat. What is advised? You typically once you're a bit overweight, or we say under muscled. That is the terminology we'll be using on the term. Once you're under muscled, you always want to first start with a very precise plan of your intake, because with that plan you're able to see more results more long term. Crash diets, fat burners, all these things that you see being touted, all these teas and all these things being touted as the silver bullet, really not. I do recommend certain kinds of supplementation, yes, but again, the key to effectively achieving the best results is to have a planned approach, a focused approach, and understand that it's allowable for you to mess up from time to time. But when you fall off that wagon, you just get right back up and continue your journey. It's a process. It's a process. It took time to put the weight on. It's going to take time to take the weight off. And the best way and the best approach is to have consistency. And these little tiny things aggregate and they produce the best results at the end down the road. The goal, as always, is not necessarily to look good. The goal is to feel good. And in feeling good, you're able to create that harmonizing energy in your body that kind of creates and promotes a better overall well-being. So the first and foremost, it's not about looking good, it's more about feeling good. And once we understand that, it tends to be a lot easier, right? So I don't know if the guys can pull it back up on my screen. I'm going to take you down to our calorie chart. Right now, most of us are typically unaware of the types of calories certain foods have. So, and again, you can get calorie charts from any part of the internet. This is one that I created this document years ago, but I can't remember exactly where. But calorie charts are available, and you can visit it online and get a calorie counter. So once you've decided effectively on what your plan is going to be, and you use the resources like the calorie counter, you know definitively how many calories you have to consume in a day to create that that caloric deficit and promote the weight loss. You now have to go to your calorie charts and see the calorie density of the different kinds of foods that you have, right? With that approach, you're able to now calculate your meal calorie density per meal that you're going to be consuming. So it's recommended 3 meals, 2 snacks. If you can't maintain that, you can just split the calories between the meals that you know that you can definitively commit to doing. Let's take a look back. I'm going to pull back up the calorie deficit that my friend that contacted me yesterday. To achieve weight loss, he would have to be in a caloric deficit of about 500. So to maintain the weight that he had, which is 235 pounds, and 5'3", which is very, very short, 2,324 to maintain for weight loss, he would have to be in a caloric deficit of 500 or so. So it's 1,824 calories. So 1,824 calories. Let's say he wants to split that up into 3 meals. He can commit to having 3 meals per day. All right. So if we were to do the mathematics and we divide that, his intake, every meal that he would eat in that particular day should be roughly around 608 calories. Now let's go through a bit of a calculation. Let's say he's going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? And all 3 of these meals, he will have to have an average of 608 calories per meal to maintain that caloric deficit. Let's look at his breakfast portion, right? So let's say he is looking to have eggs, bread, and again, these are accessible foods to the average Guyanese. Eggs, bread in the mornings, right? Or tuna or whatever. So one slice of bread, or an average slice of bread, about 2 ounces in weight. A 2 ounce slice of bread, white bread, is average 120 calories, average, right? So if he wants to get some carbohydrates from bread, let's say he's going to have 2 slices of bread. So that's already 240 calories for bread. All right, remember he has 608, right? We're doing some mathematics today. We have a mathematics show if you're gonna follow. So he has. I'll put my calculator up on your screen for us to follow along. So his meal is 608 calories, right? 608 calories is his intake, or his expected intake. So 240 calories already has been allotted to bread. So let's minus that. 240 calories going towards his bread intake if he wants to use bread. So he has 368 calories left that he can play with, right? So let's say he wants to have eggs. Now, boiled eggs one egg has about 75 calories, right? And fried has about 110 calories. So obviously we're going to go with boiled in this particular case. So let's say he has 2 boiled eggs, right? 2 boiled eggs, that's 150 calories boiled. 2 eggs, right? So we have 240, now we have 150. And when we deduct that, he has 208 calories left to play with, right? Let's say he wants to add, all right, 218. All right, so let's top. Yeah, so 608 calories, 240 allotted to bread, minus 150, 218 calories left. Now, a cup of coffee has an average 90 calories. So if you want to use coffee, if you want to add dairy to that, it actually sends up the caloric content. So my personal recommendation when you're starting, you want to eliminate dairy from your diet. So you can either increase his eggs and add another egg in there, right? Another boiled egg. And he adds a cup of coffee, he gives about 190 calories, and he should be good there. So your breakfast would be an average of 600 calorie intake breakfast. That's pretty good and pretty decent for a solid breakfast in Guyana, right? Now lunch, let's say he wants to have rice, because again, rice is very accessible. It's not categorically wrong with rice. So 1 cup of rice is very, very calorie dense. A cup of rice is very, very calorie dense. So 1 cup of white rice is average about 690 calories. So you want to be consuming about half of that, right? So half of a cup of rice, if you want to do that, all right? Because remember, we've allotted 608 calories per meal. So half of the calories you're going to receive from lunch is going to come from the rice, right? So 690 divided by 2, we're going to use that. It's 345 calories, right? I recommend fish, but chicken is also good. But fish, let's say we're going to have 3 ounces of fish. Trout is an average 195 calories, right? Then we have salmon as an option, is average 156 calories. Tuna is a lot less in calories, has 90 calories. But fish is a good meat source if you want to start losing weight. So let's say he's going to go with the trout at 195 calories at 3 ounces, right? Say we're going to give him 6 ounces, right? So 195 times 2, 390, 390 calories. And he's getting some calories already from the rice, right? We said 300, what did we say? So with the fish and the rice, it's going to take him to an average of 635 calories. So it's a little over 608, but he had some calories left over from his breakfast. So he's still within that calorie deficit if he's having fish and rice, and if he's having eggs and bread in the morning. Now, dinner could be a little lighter. Dinner can be a little lighter, where you can go with tuna again, which has 90 calories. 90 calories per 3 ounces. You don't want to eat too much. You get 90 calories of 3 ounces of tuna at night, and you get some vegetables in there, and you'll be good. So lettuce is a very light vegetable. Tuna and lettuce, I always recommend lettuce, right? Lettuce has an average, one head has 25 calories. So you can get some tuna in and 2 heads of lettuce. That is 6 ounces, 180 plus 50 calories, and that's good. Just average about 230 calories, and you still have calories to play around with. All right. So again, I don't want to take you into too much complicated mathematics, but have an idea of what your caloric intake should be. Right. Peg that number, and then you look at what you have access to, foods you have access to quite cheaply, and then you start to calculate how much calories you need in a daily basis, and start to build your plan that way. Right. Once you can effectively do that and maintain a disciplined intake every single day, you should be fine, and you will see your weight begin to go down, right? It is, again, we're done with the mathematics portion, so we're going to take that off the screen. I'll try to make this document hyperlinked so you can have access to it on the video, but let's go into discussing again the importance of having a structured plan, right? No plan that you start is going to be perfect, right? What you do is, as you start and you have the basic understanding of what you need, and you start to build your diet around that, you now be able to tweak it, you now be able to take things out and add things, and just basically make it a little bit more agreeable for you. Because again, when people hear diet, they tend to think that it's something that is awful and something that's designed to punish you, right? But there's no effective way, if you're under-muscled, that you don't, that a structured meal plan is not the most important part of your approach, right? So, with that said, we're gonna go to the chat to see if there are any questions. I don't see any questions in. All right. Okay, good. So, yeah, so once you understand your caloric intake, you understand the different calorie densities of the different foods that you have access to, start building your plan that way. I think my number is being shared. If you're going to contact me, please WhatsApp me. Do not call. WhatsApp me, and I'll be able to help with deciding on your intake, right? But only via. Well, my number should be available soon enough, but only via WhatsApp, you can contact me, and I'll be able to help you guys with deciding on how to structure your meal plans, and we can go through it together and so on. Since this show has been airing, I've been getting a lot of contact from a lot of persons that have been watching the videos, and we've been helping them to achieve to assist them with starting their weight loss journey. I can't stress enough how much of a process this thing is. It is never an overnight thing. What is important is that we understand that our body rewards us once we treat it well. And we might think also that because we're young and we're energetic and we're vibrant and we're, don't have any perceived ailments, that we are good. But your body never forgives you. It always remembers what you've done to it. So the best thing to do to your body is to treat it well. One of the biggest deterrents when it comes to starting a plan is your lifestyle. Finding that balance between work and children and family and home and all these different kind of things. So the conversation needs to be around those things too, where you're not just deciding in the morning to just start a plan and you don't have other things going on in your life that directly impact the way you're able to make that plan a reality. But I think I hinted in previous shows that it's important that or not important, it's easier for you to make this a reality if you get more persons in your home on board, more persons in your home enthused about your health and fitness and overall well-being. It is important. And again, many important things, but it's very, very important if you understand it. It starts in your mind first, and then the rest of you starts to follow. It's hard. It's hard. But notwithstanding it being hard means that you should allow the difficulties that you're encountering in your life to control the outcomes that you potentially could have. Again, I like to make anecdotal references. When I became interested in health and fitness, I had some particular realities in my life that were stressful and created issues for me, health-wise and all these different kind of things. And when I decided to change my lifestyle and change my self-care regimen, I began to see a lot of changes in my body. I started to feel better. I started to look better. I started to have an overall better well-being, and I got into health and fitness and helped training people and getting people to that part because of really experiencing the benefit of having that type of lifestyle. It's amazing. It truly is amazing when you start your journey and you can look at yourself one way and you stick to these things and you did consistently, and you see the results of it. Nothing motivates you more than seeing results for your actions. And I guarantee you, and again, unless you have some kind of congenital illness or you have some underlying condition you're unaware of, typically some people might suffer from hypothyroidism, which is something that kind of slows your metabolism faster than average people. And there are tests available for you to do, and you can definitively know that you may be a sufferer of any kind of hormone issue. Even with that, you can still have a structured and planned approach. Mentioned earlier in one of the shows that in Guyana we have a significant rise in polycystic ovarian syndrome in women in Guyana. And again, I personally believe that is directly tied to the types of diet or the change in the diets that we've been having in Guyana, where we grew up having access to certain types of food, but now we have a love affair with refined imported food, and we've kind of delineated towards choosing those types of foods. Now, when we start doing that, and again, this is all anecdotal references, there's no solid empirical data on this, but the rise in these kinds of issues with the endocrine system in human bodies, I believe strongly it's directly tied to the types of food that we have been consuming, types of food we've been having access to. With that said, it is important that we understand what is going into our bodies. And once we can take stock of that, then we'll have a better and more healthier Guyanese population. So again, despite having realities with your work, realities with your family, realities with your underlying conditions, you have to still try your best to take care of you and make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position to make that a reality. On the TBN network, that recognition was taken seriously. We recognize that information seriously, and that's why we've decided to have these shows and start to help assist our Guyanese people with having a plan to make their health and fitness a reality for themselves. Self-care. I will not stress that enough on the show. Self-care is important. From doing health and fitness and having access to a lot of persons at the gym, I've met a lot of people, women in particular, because women are have it harder when it comes to weight loss because of your different hormonal functions. So I'm speaking directly to the women now, that if you're a housewife, or if you're a working mother, it's going to be a little tougher for you to lose weight because of your hormonal functions and because of just how much more difficult it is for women when it comes to losing weight. I've personally seen women who have taken stock of their lives and decided to take the step and make the plan and stick to the plan. The results are always evident. I have a particular client that I'm very fond of at my facility, and once she comes to the gym, right, she loses weight. You understand? She loses the weight. She feels better. I'm quite fond of this particular client because I love to see how she works. She sticks to it and she does what is necessary and she sees the results, and that in turn motivates her. Like everybody else, she may have some difficulty sometimes, and it prevents her from coming to the gym and prevents her from sticking to her plan. And then, it happens. You fall back, but it is important that you refocus and reorient yourself and make yourself a priority and get yourself back on your plan and get yourself back on your regimen. Important to note also is that there is no such thing as a perfect body. There really isn't. There really isn't such a thing as a perfect body. It's a very, very subjective concept. So because there's no perfect body, there's never going to be an end to your pursuit of health and fitness. There's never an end to it. It's always something that you have to make the lifestyle adjustment for, And again, once you begin to start this process, in the beginning, it's the toughest part, is knowing what your caloric needs are. We show you the calculator. You can calculate. Find a food chart online that shows you calorie density. Decide what foods are suitable for you that you have access to, and you build your intake around these metrics. That's the hardest part. And once you're over that part, you can literally do a week meal plan, know definitively what you have to do, and you literally have to just look at food and eyeball and just know what the quantities would be, and you just definitively know things. It becomes very, very habitual, and you have a very, very it comes with a degree of ease at that point because you've been doing it consistently for a long enough period. It becomes second nature, and you don't have that difficulty you had when you started your plan. So that is something you can look forward to. The beginning is always the toughest, but as you progress, it becomes categorically easier, and you're able to maintain it a bit more once you have the correct mindset. Difficulties will come. You will experience difficulties with this process. You always do. There's nobody that is started from a position of being under-muscled to a position of getting into a better shape that would ever tell you that it was easy or it didn't have its degree of challenges. So it's something that is reality for everybody that's starting this thing, myself included. As a person that's in a gym space every single day of my life, Sunday to Sunday, and I myself also struggle. I struggle every day, especially now because my life has particular realities that tug and pull at me. It is extremely hard, and I am more or less a fitness professional because I'm paid to do it. So, and I struggle, and this is my job. This is the thing. This is one of the jobs that I do, and I struggle, and I directly benefit from this particular lifestyle, and I struggle. So it's quite expected that somebody who is under muscled, somebody who is not necessarily in health and fitness for a long time, to struggle. So, but struggle and triumph go hand in hand. The struggle makes the triumph even sweeter, and that's where the pleasure is in this whole process. Again, let me bring it back again. It is important that we understand definitively what we need in terms of our caloric needs, what we have access to, and the different calorie density of what we have access to, and we build a plan around that. I think at the next show my number will be shared, and again, you can WhatsApp me, and only on WhatsApp. I will not be answering calls in that regard. If you do call me, back it up with a message, and I'll respond in an agreeable time frame. But knowing what we need in terms of caloric needs, knowing what we have access to, we build a plan around that. There are meal plans that you can build, and if you have the discipline, you can stick to, and you have the finances to have access to certain kinds of food. Yes, those meal plans exist. Those diet plans can be distributed to you and followed. But for those of you who are now starting out, your lifestyle is a bit difficult. You have a lot of issues going on that kind of inhibits you. The right approach, or the approach that is most sustainable, would be to just look at what you currently consume and make adjustments. And again, you make adjustments by knowing how much you need and what you need to do to reduce it. Right? The calorie charts that I have up there are accessible online. The calorie count is accessible online, and you can have access to that stuff and build your plan. So that's the most important. And what the key takeaways is knowing what you need, knowing what you have access to, and knowing that you need to be focused and committed to the process. It is not easy, but once you decide to make yourself a priority, you decide to make yourself healthier, you will have the benefit if you have the plan. All right. I started the show with the quote from Napoleon Hill: "The body does what the mind believes." So if you believe, if you know, belief and knowing are two different things. I know that these things work. I know. This is unequivocal. I know that it works based on the evidence and based on bearing witness to the effects of having a planned approach towards your health and fitness. It works. It works. It definitely works. The tough part is your lifestyle adjustment. That is the tough part. But once you follow these things and you make yourself a priority, and you begin to love on yourself, or whatever size you're starting, whatever level of your under muscle state you're in, once you begin to start loving on yourself and being committed to the process of making yourself healthier, it becomes easier. It becomes a lot easier. And you have to do it for yourself. Don't do it for your boyfriend. Don't do it for your girlfriend. Not even for your own kids. You're doing it for yourself. Right? do it for yourself and reap the benefits of it for yourself. Because once you are healthier, and once those around you are healthier, it's contagious. It's very, very contagious. Again, for those of you who have difficulties with family, and get them on board. Get them on board. Start the conversation in your home. You understand? If you want to be around, you want to enjoy the benefits of this oil economy, it is important that you do the right things so you're healthy enough to participate in the society that we're currently engineering. You understand? So Guyana is definitely on a fast track to being one of the greatest places to live. And as a Guyanese, it is important that you're healthy enough to reap all the benefits from such a windfall that's about to hit Guyana. So I think that is enough talking for today. I think we've exhausted enough time reiterating the importance of having a planned approach to the caloric intake and creating that caloric deficit. Again, key takeaways: know what you need, know what your intake is, know what you're consuming, the foods you have access to, and knowing that you need to be focused and committed to the process. Right? It'll take some time, but you will achieve it. Right? Once you do these things consistently, they aggregate, and you get the best benefit to your body. Right? So yes, I think I've shared enough. I'm trying to get some comments. 1 second. No comments. All right, good. So there's no comments, no questions in the chat. Since there are no questions, I would like to end our discussion today on that note. And again, communicate to you that the importance of knowing what you need and your caloric needs, knowing what you have access to, and the different calorie densities of these foods, and having a strong mentality when it comes to achieving these goals. So thank you again for tuning in to Fun, Fit, and Healthy on the TBN network, where we'll be having these conversations every week. I'm hoping to have someone on next Thursday that we can have a conversation again around food choices and some alternative food choices that are out there in Guyana and available that at an economically favorable price. So, Coel here signing off from you. And thank you again for joining us on Fun, Fit, and Healthy, and look forward for our core sessions tomorrow. We'll be attacking the belly. All right? So look forward tomorrow. Join us back again after 10:30, and we'll be able to help you with your core training. And on Thursday, we'll be advancing the conversation again around health and fitness related matters and the importance of having health and fitness at the forefront of your life. So thank you for joining us, and do take care and enjoy the rest of your day, and stay tuned for the next program on TBN Network.